Welcome to Greatland's demonstration of our online software application, Yearly Performance. In today's overview, we would like to show any ALE how they can perform all of their 1095B and 1095C reporting obligations in our online software application, Yearly Performance, from start to finish. To get started, I want to give you a little bit more background on our company, Greatland Corporation, to help build confidence in who we are and what we do here at Greatland. I want to jump right into the software application and show you the customer interface and how you would walk through getting your 1095 data in and out of our product to meet all of your obligations. At the end, we have all of our contact information so that you can ask us any additional questions you need or to contact the team here at Greatland to get started in our products. So a little bit about Greatland. We've been in business over 40 years, and our core focus here is year-end wage, income, and information reporting. So as you can imagine, the 1095 form fits in very well with that product line and that interface. In fact, the product you're about to see, Yearly Performance, has been around for over a decade, serving W-2 and 1099 businesses like yourself. The platform is based off of our desktop software application, which has been around for over 25 years and is still available, has some additional features and functions over the Yearly Performance. Now, our product is built on a lot of background of compliance, knowledge, and expertise. We have a group of people in our Green Bay office that work with the IRS and SSA to understand their complex regulations and changes and build with their developers an intuitive product that helps you get your data in our format and file in an accurate and timely fashion. Now, if you become a client of ours, you have access to sales and technical support by phone, chat, and email. And we also have extended hours in the busy season when you need to file these forms. Because we are a year-end provider, our security standards that we have at our company are very high. This year we've added on an external audit of our systems from start to finish called SOC 2. And that just adds that final layer of protection on your data and gives you that sense of security when you're transmitting to an organization like Greatland. Now, as you go through the product and you see the screens, it's important to understand what's included in the pricing or the price quote you've already received from us. In the Yearly Performance package, you get an annual license to our online software application and access to our tech support by phone for that full year. Now, once you get your data in and you audit it and error check it and then you submit it to us, Greatland is the fulfillment expert. We print and mail your employee's copy on a pressure seal form with postage paid and send it to them from you. Also included in the pricing is online delivery to that employee. So you'll see a spot a little bit later on in the import workbook where you can give us your employee's email address. We deliver them a secure online retrieval copy of that form for them to access. Now, when we do these recipient delivery services for you, we have the latest guarantee in the industry. If you submit to us by 8 p.m. Eastern Time on February 1st, we guarantee a postmark the same day. And most important, we give you a status update and a date stamp on that submission. That is your proof that you've met this obligation in a timely fashion and is the best way to ever mitigate any possible penalties if they ever come up in the future. Greatland is also the federal e-filer for these forms for you. So we have the transmitter control code. As an organization, you do not need to apply for that. And when you submit through us, we do the federal e-file of the 1095 and 1094 form. We give you that date stamp on that also, so you can prove you met your federal obligation in a timely fashion. Also included in the product is your copy in a PDF format. We keep it on the site for the current year plus the past 2 filing seasons for you to access. Now, you can print those or save those off as a secure PDF to your own location for your retention copy. And I'll show you a final screen where we store everything. There's a ton of additional services built into the product so that if anything comes up after the fact, you have access and can perform the necessary functions within the product. To get started, there's a 5 simple step process to get your data in and out of our product. Now, we've worked hard to streamline this online application so that businesses such as yourself can jump in at year end, get the data in via importer data entry, both ready and available to test now with our 1095C product. Complete any additional work that might be needed from transmittals or edits. Review. Most important stage for me, double check your work before you send it. We give you lots of different ways to preview that and double check to make sure everything's correct, because step 5 is very, very simple with us. We do a very simple wrap-up of all services we're going to do for you and walk you through a checkout process. And then that data comes over to Greatland via our secure process, and we submit everything to the IRS and recipients. Now, to create an account, you get one page, very simple screen if you go out online and do it yourself. Otherwise, if you're working with one of our team members here at Greatland, we launch you an email that will bring you right into the product. Now, in Yearli Performance, this is our filing homepage, also known as your dashboard. This page has been worked on from a user interface standpoint to keep you working and keep you oriented back to where you're at. So you can see the process flows left to right. We have a few things built into the product, and this is throughout where we will highlight or de-emphasize certain areas of the product that you can or can't go into depending on your work progress. You'll also see these little question marks, blue question marks throughout the product. Those are our help files. I'll step right there and talk a little bit about those help files, because that does separate Greatland from other year-end providers of software. We do a lot of work to help you file and give you compliance guidance through self-serve tools so that you can best fill out these forms or any other W-2 and 1099 form with us. This year especially, since it is year 1 of 1095 reporting, we are going to be building up our knowledge base behind those blue question marks. So when you click one of our help files, we will take you out to the IRS pubs and instructions on the specific form or box you're looking at, or out to our proprietary knowledge base articles. We are creating additional video tutorials that will be behind lines 14 through 16 of the 1095 forms. And we are also creating additional articles and or decision trees behind some of the codes on those boxes. Again, all geared towards helping you understand what you're doing and file. And as a user of our product, year 1 is going to be the biggest learning curve, and then you will be set up going forward to complete these successfully year over year. Now, as a new user, you'll click on Start New Forms, and you'll jump right into the product to get the data in. Now, the Start Form button is going to be our data entry of the 1095C. We launched that back in July to get product out in front of the market as early as possible, and we did have a good group of clients that wanted to start entering data manually and wanted a record-keeping solution. So we launched that for them. I'm going to run everyone here through the import data functionality of our product as the primary way ALEs are bringing their data into one source and into our product, and is likely the most efficient way, fastest way for you to complete your work this year. Now, when you click on Import, we embed our import files and instructions of every form, W-2, 1099s, 1095s, into the product for you to browse, choose your form, download right to your location. Now, when you download that Excel file, you'll be working with that workbook right on your desktop. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to run you through that Excel file left to right through the main areas of the form that you will need to fill out depending on the type of business you are. Now, a few points of orientation before we scroll through this. In our product, you can bring in as many EINs or employers and as many SSNs or recipients of the forms as you would like in one import process. Sample you're looking at is one company, import company, with 4 employees. Now, it is important to note that each one of these rows is a recipient form that we're going to deliver for you. Also note that the red highlighted boxes are required to import into our product, and then gray is an optional field for the import process. Now, we've allowed a lot more flexibility to import partial data sets into our program, but best practice is to get as much data or all data in this workbook, bring it in one pass. We'll talk a little bit here in a second about the audit or error checking we do, and having that complete data set will help with that. Now, the first section of data you're going to see here is very simple, very basic. This is your information, the employer information. So your basic company EIN, name, address. That can be dropped down to as many forms as you're going to be submitting for that EIN, or multiple EINs as mentioned before. Now, the second section we're going to move to is probably the second easiest. Everybody has an export file format where they can bring it right into our Excel file. This is your employees' demographic information or your payroll census. So every person at your company that has to get a 1095 form this year, their SSN, their address, additional information. You can see in front of you now that employee email address field. That is where you would elect to give us that employee email address, and we would launch that online retrieval of the recipient copy to them if it's available. Now, the third section that you have to fill out is the meat of the form. That is where we have a lot of self-serve knowledge-based articles and additional compliance data available for you to look at, but lines 14, 15, and 16. Now, I know our process here is scrolling fast, but in the Excel workbook, you have some additional instructions out to those codes, but this is where you will put your codes for those 3 fields, either in the all 12 months or in one of the individual months, multiple individual months, as appropriate based on your situation. Now, last, we have a section that covers covered individuals. This is part 3 of the 1095-C form, only applicable if you're a self-insured employer. If you're fully insured, that would be a false checkbox there, and all of this data can be blank. So, hoping to get across through this demo the process of our import. That entire Excel workbook can be used to bring in the 1095-C or 1095-B later in this year, all of your employees, all of your codes, all of your covered individuals in one process. 1095-C is available to test today and get started to make sure you can get the data in the right format. Now, once you save that file the way you want it, browse to it and import it in our product, we actually audit or error check for data validation upon import. Another unique thing with Greatland, we believe that it is best for our employer groups using the product to get the data right on the first pass, and we would want to try and help you avoid any known errors that will automatically cause a rejection and cause you to have to do additional work to refile a corrected form through us. So we will display an audit report on the screen. You have the ability to print that page, but we point you back to specific areas on that Excel form and specific data points that are wrong and will cause an error. So you can see a few things on the screen. There's a few dozen data validations we do based on our knowledge of the IRS error system. And these will help you ensure that you have all the required fields and formats to file. Examples would be 9-digit SSNs. If by some chance on your import you truncated one of those or missed an employee's SSN, those would error check and pull you in here. If you had a code for line 14 that is not one of the IRS database codes, or it was entered improperly, on all 12 months and one of the 12 months, we again would stop you, point you right back to that spreadsheet, and give you the choice to either fix it in the workbook and re-import, or bring it in with errors and fix it within our product. Now, I'm going to show you briefly where that data goes. As an importer, you end at the end of our process, and you can fix your data and file. But data entry is very important for data entry, but also for anybody importing, because this is where you come back to edit anything manually if you wanted to. I'm going to scroll through the Form 1095-C, and you can see that we have our data entry screens out, and they were in the market back in July. Again, you have question marks that bring you out to help files in certain areas. You can see that we've kept our line number orientation throughout our import process, also throughout the form. That brings you back to the IRS issued format, and so you can always know what boxes we are referring to if you're within the product. You have quick toggles through all of your employees, collapsible sections. We've built this really for someone data entering a lot of data, which benefits someone just coming in and editing 1 or 2 or 3 employees. Moving on to the form, you can see where the offer and coverage codes get housed within our database structure. And again, some additional question marks, help files, the covered individual section. Everything is out there for use. But if you are an importer, you end at our forms in progress or staging section. Now, this section is probably where you'll do the bulk of the work within our product as an importer. Now, again, I mentioned that if you import, you can import with errors, or you can import, you can go back to your workbook, fix those errors that we found, and import a clean file. If you import a clean file and you pass all of our audits, this is how your screen will work. We have ABC Payer Company here with 60 recipients for the Form 1095-C, and we have every one of their recipients listed here, green lit and ready to go. So when you import a clean file and you pass our audit, step 1 is lit up for you. You can edit any of those people if you wanted to, but your step 2 is lit up and ready for you to move on. Step 2 is the 1095 transmittal form, so either the 1094-C or the 1094-B. The 1094-B is going to be greenlit and ready, just as you see on the screen, because it can be completely summarized from your previous work. 1094-C is going to be summarized from your previous work, but it will be read and not ready. Will not allow you to move on in the process unless you edit that form and fill in some additional data entry points unique to your employer situation. Once that transmittal is ready to go, you are actually ready to file with a few clicks, and we're on the review section that I said was one of the most important to me to double check your work. Now, the only difference if you import with errors. So let's say you were importing a few hundred employees and you got 1 error. You might choose to just import with error, and what is going to happen here is that employee or employees in error are going to be sorted towards the top here. They're going to be read and not ready. And we will not let you move on to Section 2 until you finish those employees. You can use that audit report, go right back and edit that first employee or second or third employee that are not ready, fix the areas that are in error, and then you'll come back to this screen and Section 2 will be lit up for you to progress. So again, in summary, importing a complete file, you move right into here, you fill out your transmittal if there's additional work, and you're ready to file. Now before you file, we highly, highly recommend double checking your work. Again, you have a very long lead time in our product to meet that recipient deadline, which is your first obligation with the 1095 forms. So taking a few seconds, few minutes here to preview the data is very important. The first report we give you to look at is a preview forms report. That's going to open up a locked PDF draft file of every recipient of and 1095 form that you're filing through us and the transmittal. So in this case, ABC Payer would have 60 PDFs. You can spend as much time or as little time looking at any or all of those that you want, but that's the best human error check for you to look at the data, look at the form, compare it to your source data, and ensure that it is what you intend to send to the IRS. Now, what you see in there, the data points, that is what is going to be transmitted to the IRS on your behalf. That's what your recipients are going to see. That's a great spot check. Now, the second is a detailed report, which many larger employer groups love because you can pull every piece of data out of our product again in an CSV file format, which is an Excel-based format. Now, why we like that is if you're pulling from multiple data sources, you then have a final file data set out of Greatland's product. You can run your own reconciliation or summary reports off of that, compare back to your source. How many employees am I filing on behalf of? How many covered individuals am I filing on behalf of? How many line 14 code 1As do I have? Any configuration you can think of to compare to your original data to help you feel confident that the bulk of the data you're filing is correct. Now, all of that is important because in our product, you simply click on File Forms. We drop you into our shopping cart, which summarizes what we're doing for you as an organization. ABC Payer Company in this scenario has 60 recipients. We are going to federally e-file the 1095-C and the 1094-C on that employer's behalf. And then we're going to take care of recipient delivery via print mail, us printing and mailing on that pressure seal form with postage paid again. Goes to the employees from the employer. We're going to take care of that online retrieval for any email addresses that were present in our system. And then we're going to launch back a recipient PDF within the product for you to have access to at any point in time. Now, as a user, if you're okay with this data, you can always go back and edit it at any time. If you're ready to move on, you simply submit this data to us with payment, and we take care of the rest, and you can be done with your 1095 reporting obligations. So that is the filing process, and that walking you through start to finish how you would perform the work within our Yearly Performance online software application. Now, we do have access after the fact, so you'll be in this product. You have access for a year. Your form history will actually stay out on the site for 3 years. And you'll always have access to that whether you choose to move forward with us or not. But in the given year, this one is 2014, the most recent year we completed, we serve back up to you all of your submissions, confirmations, statuses, and additional services you can do, many at no additional cost. So if you're looking at the screen in front of you, we have submitted on behalf of 5 test companies multiple submissions of multiple form types within our product. If you click within here, we have statuses for you. So you can click into any batch, any confirmation you've submitted, and we will tell you the dates that we process the recipient print and mail for you. We can tell you the dates that we process the federal e-file. So you always know exactly when you met that obligation and can always prove that you met that obligation. No additional cost to go access that at any time. You see this little printer icon here, which is also very important for employers to minimize their work. Once you submit through us, you have access to print any form that you've submitted and multiple copies of any forms. So best example there is you'll know the recipient is getting a printed copy. You'll know the recipient is getting an email if you put that in there. But you know you'll have someone who lost a form or did not get it in the mail. Whatever the reason, you can jump right back in the product and you can print that recipient copy right in your HR office and hand it to them. And again, kind of solve a problem very quickly. We also include additional abilities to email through our product. So if, let's just say you did not have that employee's email address up front, or it was wrong, you can come back in here at no additional cost, type in their email address on that one form, and resubmit that electronic copy out to the employee to self-serve through our online portal. We do have a few additional services built in. That's only if you're opting for Greatland to print and mail the form again for you, perhaps to mail to a former employee. We can do that at a very small transactional charge. And then our correction process is built into the form filing history also. So if by some chance after the fact the 1095 form has a correction notice from the IRS, you can jump back in the product, run through our wizard, select the person in error, fix it, and then we e-file it for you and do the print and mail again for you. So that is our product, Yearly Performance. We hope that you are interested in working with us this year and becoming a client of Greatland's. Our team is here to help. So if you have any questions, I highly encourage getting a hold of us either by phone. You can see our data on the screen, but our phone number is 800-968-1099. We have a website, greatland.com, which has our chat built into it, so you can talk with any of our representatives by chat if you would prefer. If you email us here, greatland@greatland.com, we will have one of our account managers get back with you as appropriate. And then another great resource is aca.greatland.com. That is where we continue to house more compliance information and repurposed information on the 1095 forms in more user-speak and user format as it becomes available. So that's another great resource to check out or sign up. Again, I appreciate your time attending this demo, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you very much. Goodbye.